I wasn't interested in it because at that time I was so sick. I was just concentrating on getting better. You know, it's my heart now. I got to make this work, and I don't need all that extra soap opera, you know, mixed in. And actually, you know, they had social workers and counselors and stuff come in and talk to me about it, and they didn't recommend getting in contact with the donor. It's not like a kidney or something where I can go thank the guy. You know, he's dead. And I'd have to thank his family, and they were mourning at that point. You know what I mean? That guy's family had just lost a loved one, and here I am celebrating. You know, no way I was going to contact. To this day, I don't really want to know where my heart came from. All I know is it was a young, healthy heart. And that's that. You know, maybe my mind will change on that later on, but I don't want my family to know. I don't want to know. I just, let's just get better from here on out, is what I was thinking. So it was a long recovery, you know, over a month. I was in that beautiful room with all those great nurses. I mean, I could finally move around. I remember the day I could sit on the edge of my bed and eat my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, I could scooch down. When I got moved up to the cardiac floor, they had this little, instead of being wired into the wall, they had a battery pack. You'd have to change the battery in it every couple days. But there was a pocket on my gown, fit right in. So I'm free from all them wires. They're still hooked to me, and it goes out to the nurse's desk even. So they're watching me and reading me, hopefully. And but I got all them tubes in me, you know. So they pulled out all the tubes out of my belly except for one. And Melissa was there when they did it. It was really disgusting, I guess. They'd say, act like you're blowing out candles on a cake. And I go, whew, and she'd pull it out at the same time. And I was just so glad to get rid of all that crap. They took the feeding tube out after about a week, and I could eat normal food again. You know, I remember one of the helper doctor, you know, are you hungry? And I said, oh, am I? You know, and it was just, you know, a good time. I'd lay in there and I could move a little bit. I'd get out and get in a chair. You know what? This is a part I skipped over too, is right after my surgery when I couldn't move, I couldn't even move my arms. They would put me in this sling every day with a cable and hoist me out. It was like an engine hoist. They'd lift me up. I'm in this sling and it's crushing my privates. And they'd sit me in this chair for 20 minutes or something like that. And then they'd hook me all back up to that thing and hoist me back into my bed. And I kept on saying, you know, what's the difference between me sitting in that chair and me, you know, reclining or inclining my bed, you know, because basically, you know, I guess my feet were lower, but I didn't get that. But they had to get me moving around, and it was hard on me, really hard on me. But now I could move around by myself, and I'm sitting on the edge of my bed eating I got most of those tubes out, and the one tube I had left in my chest, they could hook a battery to that pump, unhook the pump from the bed, hook that to my IV cart, and they'd walk with me a little bit. And because I had to learn how to walk all over again with a walker. So I'd have my walker. First time I left, well, at first we stayed in the room. I'd go from the bed to the wall and back again. Then I left my room for the first time under my own power. And I'd make it about, I don't know, 20 steps down the hall, and I'd have to take a break. And I had a walker you could sit down on, you know. And, no, gotta go back. So I'd go back, and we kept going a little bit further in the hall every day. And I had this physical therapy guy, really cool guy. I think I could have been friends with this guy. His name was Wayne. Wayne rode motorcycle and played guitar, and he was just, you know, cooler than heck. But I only had him for a few days, and then he went on vacation, motorcycle trip to the Black Hills or Washington or somewhere he was going. But anyway, Wayne, hey man, I made it. The physical therapy people were pretty cool too. I eventually got to where I could walk down to a gym they had there on the far end of the hall from where I was at. And they had all kinds of stuff in there. When I eventually got to where I could walk, I remember the first day, you know, they were wiping my butt for 2 weeks. The first day I could get up and grab my IV pole and walk to the bathroom and go to the bathroom by myself. We had a little celebration in my room that day, and I think the nurses were a lot happier than I was even. You know, but I got to where I could grab that IV pole and I could go down to the gym. And eventually I got, right before they released me out of there, they got like a fake car in there you got to climb in and out of, and they had all kinds of tests that you have to do. You know, you got to be able to prove that you can leave there. They have steps, I remember. I had to be able to climb steps. And that first day, I couldn't get my foot onto the top of the first step. It felt like it weighed 600 pounds. I just couldn't get my ankle to lift the tip of my toe up. That's how bad off I was when I got out of there. Everybody's like, oh, you got this new young heart. You must be going 100 miles an hour, huh? No, it doesn't work like that. It was horrible, you know. But I'm making it. And I think, you know what I mean, they kept on telling me, I think that's their job though, you know what I mean, they pump you up. Oh man, we never seen anybody do this good, you know. I'm sure a lot of that's just for effect, you know. But I remember when I could get where I could go up about 3 steps, I had this little girl, I don't know how old she was. She is zooming up and down those steps, you know. She's thin as a rail. I don't know what was wrong with her, but she was in therapy with me, just making me look bad, you know what I mean? little bony, you know, like 8-year-old girl. She's flying up and down those steps, and I'm, oh, I can't do it. You know, the rehab was interesting because the day came when I could walk without that walker. I was going, when I got done, let me see if there was anything else in the C6 that I should tell you about. I think that about wraps it up, you know what I mean? I spent weeks in there learning how to just be able to mobilize myself through a hallway, you know, and a lot of days of just kind of watching TV and slowly getting better. I remember one night, the nurses were just so fabulous in there. Now I'll tell you about Anita too. One night I was watching, it happened to be on their crappy TV. They had Paramount Plus, which was good. I watched a marathon of Breaking Bad. I watched a marathon of Yellowstone. I'd really look forward to this stuff every day. That's how desperate I was. I'm watching Joe Dirt, right? It happened to be on one night. And the nurse comes in, she's a young chick. She's like, is that Joe Dirt? Is that Joe Dirt? And I was like, yeah. I go, I've never seen it before. It's hilarious, you know? She goes, oh, I love Joe Dirt. I haven't seen it in years. She goes, you know what? She goes, do you mind if I get time a little bit later, can I come in and watch this with you a little bit? And I was like, yeah, sure, man. Go on in. So she did, but she was busy too, you know, but just wonderful. You know, the nurses, I didn't get a lot of sleep until the end because they had to come in. I had all those things beeping and bleeping and blopping, and they had to check my blood sugar and give me insulin before every meal, and you know what I mean. The sleeping in there just doesn't happen. You know, the nurses are always in there day and night, and God bless them because they work hard, 12-hour shifts. This Anita, she's older than, well, she looked older than I was. I don't know how old she was. I didn't ask. But she come in one day and she goes, is it nice out? Because all the windows are smoked in there. You can't tell if it's cloudy or sunny, or you can kind of tell, but I mean, it's not. I said, I haven't been outside for months, 3 months since I've been outside. What? She said. She goes, that's it. She goes, we're going outside today. And I was like, oh, are you sure? I'm kind of scared a little bit. No, she said, we got to get you some fresh air, she said. And she's a little frail thing, and older. Melissa came that day and she said, we're going out to the courtyard, So she put me in a wheelchair and she wheeled me down, signed me out, wheeled me down to the elevator, and we went outside. And you wouldn't believe what it's like after going through all that, never even thinking maybe that you might never go outside again, on a beautiful, sunny July day. The sun on my skin, the air, I was under that artificial lighting for months, and it was so beautiful. And we're down there, and the courtyard is cobblestone, and cobblestone doesn't stand up real well in Minnesota. It's all crooked and cracked and busted, and here's this frail little lady pushing me. She goes, I want to show you this garden. And she pushes me over all this rough stuff. And she finally, because at that point, I can barely even stand up, and but I'm good enough, and but there's no way I can help, and she won't let Melissa help. And we get down to that COVID had been going on, so they didn't really care for the gardens down there. I think that's what was happening. But there were birds. It was just amazing, the things that you take for granted that, when you've been on your deathbed, to be out there in that courtyard. So I get talking about her. I have a new perspective on people now too, a new perspective, new priorities. And I said, you work some long shifts, and because she said, I go, don't you have, they usually had 2 patients, there's me and another patient. I go, what about your other patient? Aren't you worried about, no, I got somebody covering him. She goes, and I like to be outside too. I like to get out of there too, to be honest with you. She goes, I've had a brain tumor for I don't know how many years, and it's come back 3 times. They've cut it out of her. It came back all 3 times. And she said, I know it's going to come back again. The doctors say it's just going to come back. And she goes, I don't know how much time I have left either. And I said, what are you doing still working? That's crazy. And she said, well, it's what I do. I can't think of anything more important that I could be spending my time doing. Sorry, there I go again. She said, I don't know of anything more important that I could be spending my time doing than caring for others. This is the type of people I met down there. It's just beautiful, isn't it? Can't tell you what a beautiful person that was, When my friends ask me about any nurses I remember, that's the one I remember, and it's not because of how she looked, it's because of who she was. But anyway, I was gonna get out of there and go across the river for a week to the rehab center. Completely different neighborhood. The neighborhood that the main hospital is pretty cool. It's got a lot of students and a lot of pathways and walkways and park by the river, and it's not a bad neighborhood at all. But right directly across the river is a more industrial area on, let's see, it would be the East Bank. And it's got a park also, but the guy, the transportation, they have a thing called transportation. Those are the people that run all the wheelchairs, the vans, the woman that was pushing the motorized bed, you know what I mean? You got to call transportation, you know. So the guys in transportation are really funny. He says, yeah, he goes, there's a park, you can take them outside, you know, and go for a walk during the day, but don't do it after dark. Very dangerous after dark, you know. So I'm in rehab there for a week, and we really hit her hard, and I got to where I could walk at a slow pace, and you know, a pretty good distance, you know, 100 yards, and I had to sit down, you know, 300 feet or 500 feet, something like that. I did the 6-minute test again, and it was pretty slow. And so I got out of rehab. They had me ringing a little bell. I graduated. They gave me a little thing. And during rehab, right, I'm on the East Bank River. I have to go back across the Franklin Avenue Bridge. I had to go back to the real hospital for tests all the time. This stupid thing in my neck and all these tests that they kept having to do to me during those 7 days. So I'm riding in the van one day, and transportation guy, you know, oh, he's got this accent, you know, and all of a sudden the cops are everywhere. Woo, 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 and he pulls over, and they go flying by, you know, and we get going again, and geez, they're all right in the middle of the Franklin Avenue Bridge. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Oh, it happens all the time, he said. We got another jumper, you know. He said, this is the second most popular place in Minnesota to commit suicide. People jump off the bridge. People jump off the bridge. You know, he's got that accent, you know. Oh yeah, it happens quite common, you know, the jumpers, you know. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know. So we get around through all that mess, you know, and I told Melissa about it, and I go, now I know what to do. I go, if I ever get readmitted into this hospital again, I'm heading down to the Franklin Avenue Bridge. You know, that was kind of the running joke until I got readmitted again, but then it wasn't so funny. But yeah, I got out of rehab, and I was heading home. And it should be a joyous day, but I'm scared to death because we got all these pills we got to worry about. You know, and insulin and all this, you know, that I was taking, when I got out of the hospital, I was taking, I want to say it was between 35 and 38 pills a day, every day, shoveling them in. 16, 18 in the morning, 16 at night, 7 at lunch, you know, and then in between the finger pricking, the blood sugar, the insulin, the blood pressure, it was just ridiculous, you know. And they wouldn't let me go home right away because I lived too far from the hospital. I had to be within so many miles of the hospital, within 1 hour or something like that. Where I live, I was just outside the circle, you know. I just didn't quite make it. So my sister Lisa, my little sister, she said that I could stay at their house. Amazing. See, the people that stepped up during this are so beautiful. You know, I wouldn't have made it through this without my family, my wife, and my friends. I wouldn't have made it. I went to my sister Lisa's house in Eden Prairie, and I'm a country boy, and they're city people. You know what I mean? They live in the suburbs there, but you know, it's Eden Prairie. It's by the airport, and I get settled in there, and they have a very nice deck that I can go out and sit on, and I'm out there sitting on the deck. Airplanes, you know, first time I seen one, a jet flying over, a commercial jet. Holy crap, look how low that thing is, you know. I'm like, the pilot's practically waving to me, man. You know, I was like, oh, that is cool, you know. Well, after about the 12th one before lunch, it wasn't so cool anymore. You know, I just, there are a lot of hustle and bustle, people coming and going, and It was hard. It was on a hillside. There's not really a lot of places for me to exercise. The streets were torn up at the time in front of their house, and we'd take a little trip down to the park and do a little walking down there. But I had a hard time, and I was scared to be outside of that range, the safety range, and I didn't know if we were doing our pills right. And Melissa was really a nervous wreck, and we had Sophia, I got a 9-year-old that, thank God for my family, between my two sisters, Lynn, Lisa, they took, and Melissa's mother, they took care of Sophia, when Sophia loved it at Lisa's house because there were so many things for her to do, water parks and beaches, and it was really, my family stepped up, and I didn't think my family was that close, to be honest with you. I thought we were a little dysfunctional. But when push came to shove here, I learned a lot about my family members, and it was all good. Amazing. But after 2 weeks at Lisa's house, I got brave enough. We had an appointment with my primary care physician in Princeton, which is only 15 miles from my house. And I'm like, if they'll let me go to Princeton, I'm going home, So we came home for a visit and did a few things, and we went back to Lisa's, got most of our stuff, and I went home. And it was such a beautiful feeling when I drove in this driveway to see my yard. Another thing that happened, my brother, my sister, my brother-in-law, they were all here. I got a big yard I care for. That was part of the things that kept me healthy. Was I mow like 6.5 acres. I weed eater. I have like 130 trees, weed eater around each one of them. I have river frontage in my backyard. The Rum River runs right through it. I do the whole river bank right down to the water. This place, I thought I was coming home to, who knows what. It looked better than when I cared for it. My family had come through, just beautiful, And when I rolled in the driveway, I kissed the floor when I got in my house, because I never thought I'd see this place again. Unbelievable, And I was feeling pretty good when I got home. I was happy to be here. I got to be here for my daughter's 10th birthday. When she turned 10, we sang happy birthday. It was beautiful. I was watching her grow up. I was exercising outside. It was late August. I was running. I have a circular driveway. I was running, well, not running, but I was speed walking around that baby. And I actually got on my lawn tractor and mowed my lawn a couple times. I actually ran an electric weed eater. I'm back. I'm getting ready to go back to work. I'm getting ready to go back to church. And all of a sudden, I'm moving 6 cords of wood. I'm getting ready for winter. It's getting into almost September now, and I knew it was going to take me a long time, so I'm moving all this split wood, firewood, up by the back door of the shop, because at that time I was burning wood in here. I'm in my shop right now. And I noticed that my left eye, the vision was getting blurry. And I was going in for those swans and for meetings with the doctors every 2 weeks at the university. And when you get released from the hospital, my main doctor, Dr. Alexi, my cardiologist, he hands you off to another doctor, which I thought was a doctor, but she winds up being a nurse practitioner. It's Christy Newman. Remember the one that asked me if I was having any stress? You know what else she asked me? When I was laying there for 6 days with that balloon pump, with my leg straight for all that time. She came in, and I know they're practicing their bedside manner and stuff, you know what I mean? It's just small talk. But she goes, "Do you have any plans for today?" And at that time, I'm sitting there stuck with a straight leg. I'm like, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to lay here with my legs straight all day. You know, it's like, I'm going dancing, or what do you think I'm going to do, you know? But anyway, that's my nurse practitioner, and I didn't know she was a nurse practitioner, but that's who I was going down to see when I got first released. And I told her at the end of August that my vision was getting bad in my left eye. "Don't worry," she said, "it's just the prednisone," which I hated the prednisone. I mean, it made me so shaky. I couldn't keep peas on a spoon. I couldn't even eat. You know, I had tremors. I had, my food tasted terrible. The prednisone just kicked my butt. It sucked all the muscle mass off me. I had to go to rehab when I got out in Princeton for months. A couple months I went down there 3 times a week. My rehab lady down there, she said, "Oh, you're one of those," you know what I mean? The prednisone can do 2 things. It can make you feel like Superman, build you up like a professional wrestler, you know, like steroids should do, or it can do the opposite. And you're the opposite. It took your bone density, took your muscle mass. She said, "Don't even plan on making any gains as long as you're on that drug," you know. And I'm like, why am I on this crap? What's it doing that's so great, you know? I see a million things that it's doing that's hurting me, but prednisone, a steroid, lots of people take it. Not many people have as much trouble as I did. A long list of side effects, and I had every one of them. But anyway, yeah. Christy Newman, my nurse practitioner, says it's just the steroid, and we're weaning you off from that slowly, and don't go out and buy glasses or anything. It'll come back, and if it doesn't come back, your vision, maybe you'll have a cataract. That's an easy outpatient procedure, in and out. You know, not a big deal these days to do cataract surgery, you know, and that's a worst case thing. Don't worry about it. So I'm not worrying about it. I go home, I finish stacking my wood, and it's getting worse. Pretty soon I can't see anything out of my left eye. Pretty soon, 2 weeks later, it's moving over in my right eye. So I go back down there again, and I go, this is pretty bad, you know what I mean? It's getting to where I shouldn't be driving, because I was hopping in my old truck and driving down to Princeton, doing rehab and driving home. I'd pick up some sweet corn on the way home and some donuts. I mean, I'm on cloud 9, you know. I went to this wedding for my nephew's daughter, you know, and I was telling everybody there, "You can't kill me, I'm unkillable," you know. I was really happy to be alive and grateful and just amazed that I made it through, and I made it through, you know. And so now I'm telling her it's in my other eye, and I'm starting to really have trouble, you know, and we got to get that prednisone, get rid of it, you know. And she says, no, we can't do that, you know, we're weaning you down. She goes, and I have a transplant coordinator named Chris, and he warned us when we first started out that he was new. He'd never been a transplant coordinator before, and I thought, oh yeah, we'll be able to pull some stuff on this guy, huh? But he was there too for every one of these meetings, and he agreed, you know, and they both said, well, if you're really worried about it, you know, go see an ophthalmologist. And at that time, you know, I didn't realize they had a big eye center right there at the U of M. I should have known that, but I didn't. And so I go home, and I'd made an appointment with the gal here in town, the optometrist, and geez, it was a month to get in there, you know. So I had Melissa message them through the MyChart thing. Yeah, you know, we made an appointment with the ophthalmologist, but it's going to be a month to get in, you know. is that going to be a problem? No, don't worry about it, And so I'm still trying to do things every day, and it's getting so bad. I wake up one day and I just can't see nothing, and I'm like, I got to get in right now to see somebody, So we found a lady over in Cambridge, a really nice ophthalmology place. She puts me through all the tests. See, I didn't realize at this time that they had a place down at the U. Same tests that they did to me down there, that they will in the future here. But she gets to the part where they're scanning my optic nerves, and she's like, eek! She said, these are the worst swollen optic nerves I've ever seen. She said, you've got to get to the emergency room right now. So we're over in Cambridge. That's about 15 miles east of my home, 20 miles. So we go home and we try to call my newbie transplant coordinator. He's supposed to be the go-between, I thought I'd have like a hotline to the, It's got somebody else's heart beating in me, I got to have a hotline like Batman to, in case something goes wrong, right? Well, no, we're having trouble getting through to him. He's not in, and we can put you down to this desk. So we leave a message at the desk, and